I think it's important to talk about Texas and what Texans are doing to exploit their own natural resources and make a living in the state in the 19th century. Well, one of the great commodities in Texas is, believe it or not, trees. The timber industry in Texas is pretty big. You know, the pine forests of East Texas were largely untouched throughout most of the 19th century. In fact, most early observers talk about how the forests in East Texas were almost park-like with no undergrowth. Some of the trees grew to 150 feet tall. Some of them were 5 feet in diameter. These were big trees, ready for the saw. Well, the first commercial sawmill, actually in 1833, during the Mexican period in Texas. By 1860, there's 200 different sawmills operating in Texas. And besides them cutting trees into lumber, there was also a barrel stave manufacturing operation going on, taking advantage of the East Texas timber. Also, some turpentine refineries. About 1,200 Texans are involved in handling tree and tree products in 1860. That said, the vast majority of Texas forests are untouched until 1880. In 1880, that's the big bonanza period for the Texas timber industry. The big mills, the big factory mills, arrive during this time period from about 1880 to 1940 and center on Orange, Texas. Orange becomes a major lumber hub, and it's organized and led by men like Henry Lutcher and Beetle Moore, both Pennsylvanians, who understood something about clearing trees and working with timber products. Others followed, men like John Martin Thompson, Joseph H. Kurth, Thomas L. Temple, W.T. Carter, W.T. Joyce. All these guys came into East Texas and began to become timber barons. But the prince of the pines was John Henry Kirby. John Henry Kirby came in and made more money in the timber industry than just about anybody else. 600 big mills emerged during this time period, producing about 100,000 board feet of lumber a day. In 1907, this jumps up to about 2.25 billion board feet of lumber that year. In fact, Texas is the third largest producer of lumber in the nation in 1907. And it's certainly a record for the state. 1880 to 1920, it's estimated that 59 billion feet of lumber are cut out of the Texas forests.